Okay.
Did we start?
Yeah, because I think. Can you check if we have gone live?
How do I do that? 1 second.
Go to my channel. Wait. Go to the link Vijata has shared on Global Classroom.
Yeah.
Okay. Go to my channel. Yeah. We are live. You can go.
Okay. So we shall start now. Good evening, everyone. So today we are going to just discuss and get enlightened about solo taxonomy. I'm going to speak about solo, and Ms. Ashika is going to speak about Bloom's taxonomy. So before we start, I would just want you, these are the different colors I have given. Can you please arrange these in chronicle order? This is basically the steps of making tea. That was the reason I asked you. Please sit with the tea, and the tea should be made by you, tea or coffee. So these are the few steps. And I want you to arrange this in chronicle order. Let me know whether blue would be first, or black would be first, or red would be first. Let's make it a bit interactive. Yes. Are we doing it? Yes, no?
Yes, on it.
Okay. This is basically the only quick example I was able to think about making tea. And I am going to give you the exposure of both the ways, using it as solo taxonomy and the same in Bloom's taxonomy. And then we will understand the similarity, differences, and what is the purpose of using each one. Okay, I can see one message that says, just orally tell me or you can do it in the chat as well. So which color comes first? You can type in the chat, or if possible, orally, you can let us all know. For example, you can say you think that purple comes first, maybe then red, and then pink, and then the black and blue.
Can I try?
Please go ahead.
I think purple is going to go first. It says the student has no understanding of how to make tea, and then followed by the red box.
Okay.
Then
It says,
the
red box says,
the student understands one aspect of making tea.
Okay.
Yeah, and then number 3, pink box, understands multiple aspects but cannot connect them. Then after this blue box, can connect multiple ideas, yes, and see how they relate. And then black box can generalize and transfer the understanding to new context or create new ideas.
Powering off.
This is
yes.
okay.
So that is the order. What about others? Are you going to type? I can see one message in the group which says done.
Yeah, same order.
Same order? You also think
yes,
so? What makes you think that?
So first I'll begin with having no understanding about what I'm going to do. And then I have, a little understanding. I understand one aspect, that, the basic thing I need is hot water to make tea. Based on previous knowledge, I assume this. Okay. Then I come to the pink part, wherein I cannot connect to them, but I know a little more than hot water. Okay, what else? Again, based on previous knowledge, maybe because I've been having it since childhood, or maybe, like that. And then I can connect multiple ideas. I know what goes first, what goes second, and what goes in the end. Okay.
Mhm.
And then on the basis of it, I'm able to generalize, and I'm able to, experiment further, double boil it or not. All these things will come into place.
So you were very right, ma'am. So now we shift to one more example. Okay. There I want you now look at this. Now arrange this into a chronicle order. Please take a minute to read all the given options and now arrange it. What will come first? Which color you think would be the last one? And then why? What makes you say that? Are we done? Okay, in the chat I can see. Yes, you can again. No problem, no problem.
Okay. In this, I think the black box goes first, the most basic level of learning, remembering, and then red, which explains the process, and then the blue uses the steps to make tea. Now they understand, they move to applying their knowledge by actually making tea. And then afterward, I think it's pink. Yes, break down the process and identify purpose. And then purple, just adjusting the effectiveness and suggest improvements. And then the last one is green, inventing a new tea recipe.
Yes, that's what I guess Miss Ashika has also written in the group, that black, red, blue, pink, purple, green. Now I gave you both the examples, okay? One was this, going back, if I go back. One was this, and one is this one. What do you think? What is the similarity and what is the difference between both the ways of explaining in chronological order how to make a tea? What's the similarity? What's the difference?
Can you go back?
Yes, I will.
If you tell me the second one is Bloom's taxonomy, that I know. All command terms are used.
That is
The first one is solo taxonomy.
it's so yes. But I'm asking, identify the difference between both. Both the methods are explaining making tea. So if we understand this, the session khatam ho gaya. Then
I mean, explain in short?
Yes,
I feel, both sets emphasizes progressive learning, moving from simple recall to complex understanding. However, the first one focuses more on gaining knowledge and connecting ideas, while the second one places more emphasis on practical application, analysis and creativity. I also feel the second set also assumes some prior knowledge, as it begins with recalling steps rather than lacking understanding entirely. So this is what I feel.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your perspective. So yes, this one was an example of solo taxonomy, and solo taxonomy has these 5 stages. The first stage is known as pre-structural level. Okay, the second is unistructural, multi-structural, relational, and extended abstract level. These are the 5 stages of solo taxonomy. Now, basically, with the same example, solo taxonomy goes into the depth of a concept. Yeah, in depth of a particular concept from, I mean, the child doesn't know anything about the particular concept to the abstract meaning of it. So known to unknown. Whereas when you look at this example, this is looking at the breadth of he's able to recall, then he's able to explain, he's able to judge, he's able to list down the steps. So various learning styles, various thinking style of the child is being stated over here. So that's Bloom's taxonomy, which says remembering, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and then create. So in short, when I tell you what is the comparison between the both while making tea, solo taxonomy, it starts with no understanding, knows one step, then knows multiple steps, and then connect various steps into process, and then come to a generalization or innovate something. Whereas Bloom taxonomy, it lists the ingredient first, then explains and makes, then breaks, and then invent a new recipe out of it. No. Bloom taxonomy and solo taxonomy both are the simple in both the in making a tea, simple task in that both framework is a powerful tool in the teaching and learning as well, because as I said, solo taxonomy is on the depth, looks at the depth of an understanding of a student's structure, how they structure their responses. It helps us to assess whether they have moved from the surface level to the knowledge, to develop a new knowledge or ready to apply. So, for example, knowing one step to deeper, to more abstract learning, like creating a new recipe. Whereas Bloom's taxonomy looks, on the other hand, the type of thinking, recalling, designing, all those things. It deals with the cognitive skill of a student, the way the child thinks about a particular given learning engagement or concept, the way the child is going to think. First, he's going to recall, he's going to connect with his prior understanding, and then he's going to list down the steps. So this is the only difference between the both. One will be utilized for assessing, for giving feedback, whereas the other Bloom taxonomy can be used for your lesson plan, keeping in mind the different learning style, thinking style of the students in the class. So I will focus only on solo taxonomy. Let's go ahead. Solo taxonomy is the structure of observed learning outcome. By definition, I mean, it's a framework developed by John Biggs and Kevin Collis. Okay, so he describes the level of understanding student structure as they learn. It focuses on quality of understanding and how students structure their response rather than type of thinking. Whereas in Bloom's taxonomy, we look at type of thinking, how exactly thinking process happens in a child's mind. So these are the 5 levels of solo taxonomy. It speaks about, as I said, initially, no understanding about the topic. Then he understands one aspect about the topic. For example, if I take about climate change, the child can identify one cause of climate change. Whereas multi-structural level, here he can list down all the cause and the effect of the climate change. Relational level, he will be able to explain the cause of the climate change and its impact and interact, okay, with the real world. Whereas extended abstract, he will be able to innovate solutions to solve the climate change. So these are the different in-depth level of child's learning process. And if we look at internet, you will get this image available, which starts from pre-structural to extended abstract. So how to use solo taxonomy? One, lesson planning. You can design the task, ask questions that align solo levels. For example, start with unistructural questions and process that extend to the abstract task. It can be utilized for assessment to evaluate the depth of a student's understanding. For example, provide feedback like you have listed down the causes. Now explain. So it can be utilized to give constructive feedback also to the student. Students' reflection can also reflect all these understanding, and they can set goals based on it. Like I am at multi-structural level, and now the goal is to reach to the relational level. So when the rubric is given in the form of solo taxonomy, the child will be able to reflect on his or her understanding based on a particular task. Now, we can use solo taxonomy to design tasks that cater to different levels of understanding. So provide a simpler task for unit structural learner and more complex task for the person who is able to extend his learning to abstract concepts or more relational learners. Okay, let's go ahead to understand solo taxonomy in action. There's one example given like questioning. So in unistructural, what is the cause of deforestation? Okay, that could be your first question for the child to ask. If you're making keeping in mind different levels of your student in the class, not different learning styles. I'm talking about different level of understanding of the students. You can have such kind of question kept in your assessment task, and it will address all the levels of the student will be able to at least answer one based on their understanding of a particular concept. So relational is explain how deforestation affects the environment and the human life. Extended abstract would be how can we reduce deforestation while meeting human needs for resources. There is another example given up with relation to language. It says about identify the main character of the story. That would be your unistructural level. The next level would increase, explain how the main character and action influences the plot. And the extended abstract could be predict how the story would change if the main character mode made difference in the choice, or if you change the main character's role only in the story. That could be that way as well. So this is how you plan the assessment if you want to know what is the level of understanding of the child in a particular concept. Yes, Ms. Rashi?
So, ma'am, one question. When we look at questions like explain deforestation, explain how, can you go back to the slide which we were on?
This one?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
So when we say explain how deforestation affects the environment, or how can we reduce deforestation, or when we say explain how the main character's action influence the plot, um, are we saying, I mean, I may be wrong, that relational level of solo taxonomy is equal to the understanding level of Bloom's? Do we do that?
It's if you go to see, we have only 5 levels in Bloom's solo taxonomy, whereas
Right.
when you look at Bloom's taxonomy, we have 6 levels in it, right? They
Right.
are not synonyms for each other. The purpose
Okay.
of both is different. One
Okay.
is used for planning the lesson, the other one is used to assess the level of the child understanding, and the second is to give feedback, or the child can also do the reflection. That part. Whereas
Okay.
Bloom's taxonomy can be utilized to make all the learning engagements all as well.
So
Okay.
Rashi, I will be taking a session on Bloom's after she finishes solo taxonomy. Then you can ask.
Right.
Yeah,
Then you
then
can
we
make those
compare both.
connections and then you can compare.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So benefits of solo taxonomy, let's understand that. It provides a clear framework for understanding the depth of students' learning, helps teachers to give feedback, specific feedback, and guide students towards deeper understanding. Suppose when we talk about constructive feedback, so this solo taxonomy can be utilized if the level of the child is basically on relational level. You can ask the child, now you can move ahead to this level to show me or present your understanding. So this way, the child will also increase in the level of his understanding. Differentiation is allows teacher to design a task that caters to different level of understanding, and student can be encouraged to reflect on their own learning, and then they can set goals for improvement. So this solo taxonomy suffices all these needs of teaching and learning process: designing tasks to understand the depth, giving the feedback, differentiating, and then the child can also use this taxonomy once he understands the rubric based on it to set his own goal and to reflect. So, solo taxonomy is a powerful tool for fostering learning and helping students develop critical thinking. It focuses on quality of understanding and provides a clear pathway for students to progress from surface level to abstract. Okay, so it's a level kind of. First this, then this, then this, and then this. A ladder. When can we use solo taxonomy? Let's understand that. For assessing understanding of the student, it can be used to evaluate the depth of students' understanding, as I'm saying from the start of this session. Encouraging deeper understanding, you can use solo to design tasks that encourages student to move from one level of understanding to the next. And then student also can use it to reflect. These are the places where you can utilize solo taxonomy. Next is Bloom. Okay. How are they this will come towards the last, when basically it will be the Bloom taxonomy is also explained. Yes, this was all about solo taxonomy. It is level based, from one level to push the child from one level to the other level. We utilize it for giving constructive feedback, for assessing child's understanding, and for student reflection. Over to you, Ms. Ashika.
Thank you. Now, I will go to revised Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, not just Bloom's taxonomy, revised Bloom's taxonomy. All right, let me share my presentation. Sorry. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let us understand what is revised Bloom's taxonomy. Okay. First of all, what is Bloom's taxonomy? This was an instructional model, which was theory, which was given by Benjamin Bloom in 1956. And it helped to categorize the different educational goals. Okay. And Bloom's taxonomy has three different, domains. You have the cognitive domain, you have the affective domain, and you have the psychomotor domain. Okay. Most of the time, what we do is we use the cognitive domain, because we think about thinking. How does students think, or how will you plan your lesson objectives and the learning activities, and then assess students. Okay. So now this particular Bloom's taxonomy framework was revised in 2001, and now it is called as the revised Bloom's taxonomy. This particular taxonomy gives a structured approach to develop the curriculum, as well as to plan activities and create assignments, okay, assessments. So this therefore helps in instructional design and creating assessments, which will align with your learning objectives. Okay, and the taxonomy helps and encourages critical thinking and deeper understanding, so that there is improved engagement in the students. So now, what are the main features of the revised Bloom's taxonomy? In the previous Bloom's taxonomy, there were only these 6 levels, cognitive levels, and the names were also different. Okay. Now, in the revised Bloom's taxonomy, the cognitive levels are same, 6 in number, but their titles have changed. The first very basic level of cognitive level is remembering. Now, in this particular level, the student recall facts and basic concepts. Okay, so just recalling your facts. There will be certain command terms also uh, to particular levels of Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, so first level of Bloom's taxonomy is remembering. The second level is of understanding. Here, the students will show comprehension, okay, of the different materials and the concepts they have learned. So here is understanding, showing comprehension. After the student has comprehended or understood what is being taught, he or she will apply it to already familiar situations or new such situations. So the next level is applying. So you will use the knowledge that you have gained in new situations to solve problems. Now, the next level of Bloom's taxonomy is analysis. Here, what the students will do, they will break down the information into different parts so that they can understand and see if there are any relationships. So this is similar to the relational part of solo taxonomy. Okay, here you are breaking information and trying to explore and understand if there is any connections between the things you have learned. The next level of Bloom's taxonomy is evaluating. Here you will make judgment. Okay, and these judgments are made with evidence. You will have to give evidence for making these judgments. Okay, and the last and the highest level of Bloom's taxonomy is creating. Here you will put all the elements together, whatever you have understood or whatever knowledge you have gained and the understanding you have gained, you will put it together to form new knowledge. Okay, to form coherent or a functional whole. Here, this create is to create new knowledge from already prior knowledge that you have. Okay, so this is the highest level of cognition. Now, when we are looking at different knowledge, okay, the revised Bloom's taxonomy says that there are 4 different types of knowledge dimensions. Okay, that means 4 types of knowledge. So what are the different 4 types of knowledge? First is factual knowledge. Okay, here the basic elements the students must know so that you know a particular discipline is factual knowledge. Okay, next comes the conceptual knowledge. Here it is about big ideas, and here you will understand the interrelationship between whatever facts are there. Okay, so this is conceptual knowledge. Next type of knowledge is procedural knowledge. Now here it is the knowledge how to do something. There would be certain methods and certain techniques. So if you give an example of science, when you do lab investigation, okay, it is procedural knowledge, right? Because you will follow the steps. You cannot go and do whatever you feel like, right? So there is a procedural knowledge. Also, when you write a story or you write an essay, there is procedural knowledge, right? You will have to write an introduction, and then you will have the main body, and then you will write a conclusion. So this is procedural knowledge, method or technique. And the last type of knowledge dimension is the metacognitive knowledge. Here, the student is aware and understands his or own thought processes. So this is a little high type of knowledge dimension. So now, if I have to put these in a particular order, okay, this is the order. Okay, if I have to use all the command terms, okay, can you see these are all the command terms? Where will you use these command terms, if anybody would want to share? Where do you see these words defined?
Ma'am, maybe to design my
Domain.
learning outcomes
Okay,
or
number one, when you are designing
question
your learning
making.
outcome. Thank you. When you are writing your questions also. So
Yes.
you can see that you can do it at the start when you are planning, writing your learning outcome, and also you use it at the end when you are designing your assessments, right? But over here, you will also use it while thinking about what activity will you create
Task.
so that students will understand to create your tasks in class or the learning and engagement in class. So here when you see, this is the different levels, okay? Remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, create. And these are the different knowledge dimensions, the type of knowledge: factual knowledge, conceptual knowledge, procedural knowledge, and metacognitive knowledge. And what I have done is I have used ChatGPT and I have used these all words are command terms in the MYP subject guides. So what I have done is I have taken all the command terms that are there in all the different 8 subject guides, and I have put this with the help of ChatGPT. I have put it under this matrix. So if I have to create a question paper or a task for just remember this level and factual question, then my questions would start with these verbs, Bloom verbs: define, select, state, name, match, recognize, recall. Okay, this would be for factual, the first level. But if I have to have a highest level of factual knowledge, then I would go to create and I will use these verbs, these command terms: generate, construct meaning, develop. So can you see, none of these verbs go in, different boxes. Okay, they are there in
area is there. This
boxes,
one. Yes.
specific area, and then you can use them in order to write your learning outcomes, in order to design your activities, as well as in creating your assessments. Okay, so this was what I wanted you to see. Now, about the different cognitive processes, what is the meaning of this remembering? These are the descriptions for the different levels, and these are the key verbs that you can use. So these are the command terms. Okay, these are few listed over here, but in my the previous table that I showed, I have used all the key terms, command terms that are there in the 8 subject guides of MYP. So during remembering, what do? You recall facts and basic concepts. Okay, and you use these key terms or command terms: define, list, recall. When you want to assess or see whether the students have understood something, then what is the meaning? In understanding, what do? You will explain ideas or concepts. And the key verbs used are explain, summarize, describe. Under applying, what you do is you use information in new situations. This is a description of applying. What does applying mean? And the key verbs that we use are implement, execute, and use. During analysis, you break down information into parts, okay? And you see if there is any relationship or connection. And the key verbs that you use are differentiate, organize, relate. Under evaluating, what do? You make judgments based on certain criteria, okay? And you will show evidence also. And the key verbs that you use are judge, critique, validate. And the highest level of cognition for Bloom's is creating. What you do is you put all the elements together to form a new whole. And the key verbs are design, construct, and develop. Okay, so this is what it means, describing the different levels. And these are the different verbs that you can use while writing your learning outcomes, or creating your activities, or writing your assessments. Now, this is about the 4 knowledge dimensions. In factual knowledge, basic elements, okay, students must know so that they are acquainted with a particular discipline. Discipline means particular subject. Conceptual knowledge, where interrelationships among the basic elements within a larger structure, big ideas, okay, how big ideas are connected. Procedural knowledge, how to do something, including skills and algorithms. So there is a certain process that you follow. And metacognitive knowledge, where awareness about one's own learning processes and strategies. So this is the highest level. This is what I feel. So if you ask me if I have to put this in hierarchy, I would say that the basic level would be factual, then maybe procedural, and then conceptual, and then metacognitive. This is my opinion. Okay. But over here, under revised Bloom's taxonomy, there is no hierarchy. These are the different types of knowledge. Okay. So now, what will you use Bloom's taxonomy, the revised Bloom's taxonomy for? You can use it for aligning your learning objectives, writing your learning objectives. You can use it for creating hands-on experiments and projects, okay? The task that you, the learning experiences that you want to have, activities that you want to do, and you can create assessment tasks. You can create assessments using this Bloom's taxonomy. Okay. So this gives you an idea of what I said. You can use Bloom's taxonomy to write your learning objectives, define key terms, list concepts, recall facts, explain concepts, summarize information, interpret data for understanding, use concepts in new situation, apply formula, demonstrate skills. Okay, under the third level, under analyzing, you will break down information, you will ask the students to compare and contrast and to identify if there are any patterns. For evaluating, you justify decisions, you critique arguments, and you assess the effectiveness of something. Whereas in creating, you design new products, you write original stories, you compose music. So these are all the learning objectives that you can use for these different levels. Now, what kind of activities can you do for the different levels of Bloom's? For remembering, you can give them filling in the gaps, multiple choice, labeling pictures, matching worksheets, okay, when they have to do the activities in the class. For understanding, you will ask them to retell the story, create chart, write book reports. You can have discussions. For applying, you will practice board games, conduct experiments, planning model construction. For analyzing, you can ask them to construct graph, you can ask them to make diagrams, write reports, and identify if there are any fallacies. For evaluating, you can ask the students to write letters to the editor, self-evaluation, and to critique whether it is art, music, or any write-up. For creating, you can ask them to create advertisements, write poetry, designing different processes, okay, designing lab experiment, that would be creating. And for assessment examples, for remembering, you can give them quiz, you can give them fill in the blank test, and you can give them true or false questions, because this is just recall. Okay. For understanding, you can ask them short answer questions, you can give them essays to write, or you can ask them to draw concept maps. For applying, you can give them case studies, you can give them problem solving exercises or practical demonstrations to do. For analyzing, you can give them critical thinking exercises, you can give them debates or comparative analysis. Can you see comparative analysis you have in language as well as in art? You can give those things for analysis. For evaluating, you can give them peer reviews, you can ask them to do reflective journals, and you can ask them to write argumentative essays. And for creating, they can have project presentations, creative writing assignments, and innovative design. So can you see these Bloom's, the different levels of Bloom's can be used for all three things: for writing your learning objectives, learning outcomes, or designing your learning activities, what you are going to do in class, and assessing. Okay, so Bloom's is very useful. So this is the matrix that I had drawn. You can take a screenshot of this, and if you look at the YouTube video also, I will keep this for some time, and if you want, I can share this presentation also. Should not be a problem. So thank you very much. Do you have any questions? Let me know.
One question, ma'am. Will writing letters to editor will be evaluating under Bloom's?
They have given example of evaluating other rules, but then what is the letter that you are going to write?
Yes, yes. All depends on that. Because
Yes.
when you're writing a report, it
Yeah.
may be analysis, it may not be analysis.
Yeah.
Because in
So,
Bloom's, no, that's the trickiest part because some command verbs they go under understanding, some go under analysis, the same command verbs.
so what you do is when you use this particular table, it will help you. This last table that is there,
Hmm.
this will help you.
Yes, I've taken this, yeah.
Yeah, this will help you. This makes everything very clear.
Right.
Okay. And these are the command terms that the students should know if they are in IB.
Okay.
Because I have collected all these command terms from the different subject guides, and then I have put this in a tabular column.
Also, I guess when we design our KUD, we utilize this Bloom's taxonomy verbs, action verbs given to frame that. What knowledge, what understanding, what skill the child is going to gain during a particular unit. Yeah. Ma'am, which one came first, Bloom's taxonomy or solo taxonomy? Can anyone answer?
Bloom came first.
Blooms, yeah, first Bloom's came, then solo, and then again revised Bloom's.
Okay, so I will just stop the